Hey guys, this is the Hard Time Strongman podcast, training up a better class of man. And today is a special day because by the time that you're listening to this, it'll be May 18th, which is our birthday.
Happy freaking birthday.
Happy freaking birthday. Hard Time Strongman has been an active podcast for 1 year today.
Absolutely
we just want to
insane.
Nuts. And we want to take this episode to talk about, just recap again, our history, where we started, so much, just everything that has happened, and, looking forward to the future and where we're going. But before we do all of that, let's do a dad joke. You go first.
Why can't a parent change a light bulb?
Why?
Because they don't make diapers small enough.
That was so bad.
It's so bad.
What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo? One's pretty heavy. The other's a little lighter.
Oh my god. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Why do we do this to ourselves? And you guys.
Because it embarrasses my wife. That's why. That's why I wear Crocs in public. All of it is all to embarrass my wife.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I guess before once again we get into it, I just wanted to thank you guys.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. The reception we've gotten from this podcast, from listeners on, all over social media, has been absolutely inspiring and absolutely humbling.
Absolutely overwhelming too, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, and we tell the story a lot whenever we talk with guests. We started this because, our favorite job in the Army was being team leaders, being able to, take these new dudes and teach them a thing or two, whip out our, little leader or little admin book and, give these hip pocket trainings and, just like make this little, this little team of, guys who are just absolute, savages and absolutely capable. And to think, having that mindset, it's like, oh man, I want to do that for people that I'll never meet face to face from all over the globe, all across the world. And to have, these analytics come in, these numbers come in, and knowing by the numbers that we have reached more people than I ever met in the Army. More people than I could have ever met and taught in the Army. And, nothing's going to beat one-to-one training, like you to me, like face-to-face, like actually getting in it and learning something. Nothing's ever going to beat that, right? But just to think that we've reached that many people, thousands of people, just in our first year.
Yeah, in such a short time. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's so humbling to think and to see that's like you said, it's overwhelming. It's like, holy crap. Like, I don't even think we set a goal year one for downloads. We weren't even focused on that. We weren't even thinking about that. Like our mentality going into it was, even if it's only one person that we reach with these episodes and they get something good out of it, that's enough for me. Like, we're not, at that point we weren't getting paid for it. At that point we weren't, it still is a passion project, right? It's not like we're living off this, but at that point it was barest grassroots of, I'm just throwing something together, I'm throwing it on the internet, and I hope someone gets good out of this. And then to get the reception month after month of growth and just, watch that map just expand, across continents. It's absolutely insanity. It's crazy to
I'm
me.
still just waiting on that one listener to pop up in Antarctica, and then
I
we
think we
will
need
have
to do a
reached.
trip
I. That's what I'm saying.
for like 2 hours and then I'm leaving because God did not want us to stay there. That's pretty obvious.
It's funny too to believe that you know, well, to know that that continent at one point was rainforest.
Yeah.
So, but
It's
that's either
because
here
you
nor
don't drive a
there.
Prius. So, your fault.
That's true. I actually like to destroy the environment, but
Teach their own.
hmm
Oh. Well, I think we. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's still crazy to me to think that so many people, get good and to get all these interactions on
right,
Instagram, YouTube, Substack, everything, every comment, every message that someone sends us is so cool to me. To think
right,
that someone got good out of the content, that they learned something or they can apply it differently, or especially when you bring people into the fold, when you
right,
bring someone into the
exactly.
community, and it's like, hey, I had no idea who you guys are, but I just listened to 4 of your episodes because I was on a long you know drive, and you guys are right up my alley. Keep doing what you're doing. I can't tell you how how good that feels,
It's so awesome.
and to be in a position to where we're not seeking this hyper expansion. We're not seeking this just for the numbers, right? So we can be principled, and we can focus on our mission, our values with everything that we put out, and then that naturally draws people who are in the same headspace that we're at, right? So I would have never thought within our first year, that we'd have a sponsor,
Yes.
a company, people that believe in us and believe in our mission and want that to continue and to grow. You
Yeah.
know,
And they're
talking about
great guys over there too.
yeah,
Like,
talking
thank
about
you again,
fieldseats.com.
Field Seats. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Those really cool guys, just a group of brothers, just like us, two brothers who went into business together, and they're doing the best with what they got. And I've never seen a business model like what they have.
Yeah, same,
So
dude. It's awesome. Like, go check them out. Fieldseats.com. Like,
yeah, so huge shout out to them. Thank you for them. Thank you for the dudes over at Black Beer Firestarter, who by the time of you listening, you should have seen a couple inklings on Instagram. We're going to be working with them here soon. But once again, two brothers that went into business together and
it's funny how
are,
this works out.
yeah, right, and are just principled men who are staying in their integrity and trying to put out the very best thing they can without compromise. It's really cool to be able to expand our circle like that.
Exactly.
But the road so far. So we've been through a few iterations of this before we landed on the podcast. How about you talk about that for a few minutes?
Oh man. Okay, so this all started, and I kid you not, guys. This all started for us at NTC, like right before our deployment to Afghanistan. And we started working on a book together, fictional book, but it still had roots in, the what ifs. You know,
Right.
you're out in the wilderness on, say, a hunting trip, and then the worst happens. So, how do you survive, kind of thing? It's right along those lines. And from there, it progressed to, us opening up a firearms, uh, essentially a firearms manufacturing company for building custom ARs. And we opened that up right in the middle of COVID. Didn't take off like we thought it would, but we adjusted fire. And that was when you presented the podcast to me. So here we
Yeah.
are, essentially company number two.
Yeah.
We 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 have two companies open right now. Both are still operational,
Well, we
and this one
tabled
is
so
rolling.
yeah, so we tabled the firearms company because
Hmm.
we opened up during COVID. We were both crazy busy with full time plus
Life,
you know
yeah,
jobs and family and everything else, and we weren't in the right headspace and we didn't have the right foundation down in order to let that grow and thrive, right? But kind of the marketing idea that we had for that company, we took a feather out of T-Rex Arms hat, and we're going to give people information for free. Like, that's how we're going to market. That's how we're going to grow our fan base and our audience and our customers. And so we did essentially what we're doing now in a more rudimentary way. We gave some hip pocket training. We got in the community. We talked. We shared. We did all of that, and we saw some not huge growth, but we saw the potential there, right? We had a
yeah,
lot of fun with that, but we had other focus, other priorities that had to take precedence, and so we tabled that. But then when we were thinking what to do, right? Because in the midst of that, it's like, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, if I could find a way to have this be my job, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd quit right now. And both of us coming to that realization pretty much at the same time, and then just thinking through, I had the idea like, why not do what we're doing? But there's like, hundreds of, tactical, citizen rifleman, companies and IG pages and everything else. Like, but no one's talking. No one really has a podcast for this, at least
right.
from what I saw at the time.
They're all saying stuff. They're all putting out really, really, really good information. And same thing goes for the guys over on the fieldcraft side, the
Hmm.
engineering side. Like all these different communities, even like comms, radios, they're all putting out such good information.
Yeah.
But it's like nobody's bringing it together. Nobody's
Hmm.
making sense of this stuff. Nobody's translating it so that the layman can understand this stuff and apply it to their lives. And nobody really even going even further, it's like, why? Why should they? Well, that's what we're trying to do here. I think we're
Yeah.
doing that exactly. But
100%. Well, and to your point, yeah, like comms side, terminal armament, civil sentinel. You have guys in the medical side, European medics. You have guys in tactics and training, Red Bear Tactical. You have the dudes over at T-Rex Arms. You have all these people that are subject matter experts, right? But well, at least for me, I was driving hour plus every single day for my commute.
yeah,
And I'm just like, I want to be listening. I want to be, like learning this stuff, but there's not podcasts for that. And that's why I would do. I'd listen to podcasts. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna make what I want to listen to,
exactly.
and I fielded that to you, and like you said, the same thing. All these subject matter experts, but no one is, well, for one, bringing it down to the lowest level, then building up, right? I didn't really see a lot of that, or at least you had to dig for months and months of content, right?
Right.
But that, and then no one, like you said, is tying everything together. Okay, you can be a subject matter expert in medical, but then what if you're completely neglecting your comms? Same thing with shooting, or land navigation, or homesteading, or any auto mechanics, all this stuff. And it's like no one's applying all this so that any Joe Blow off the street can be like, oh, I need this. This is how I get there. And that's what we
Yep.
exist to do today. That's over this whole past year, we've nailed down our values. We've nailed down our mission to train up a better class of man,
Yeah.
and that's in every capacity.
Yeah, exactly. We're giving you guys the roadmap, like as best we can. Like we may miss some stuff, but I guarantee you we're gonna go back and we're gonna double tap it.
Yeah, and we'll never be the end all be all.
No,
And that's fine.
no,
No one source is going to be the end all be all. And that's what we try to tell people and really hammer down. You need to be a lifelong learner in everything, right? And you need to critically think about everything. That's why we're so passionate about, whenever we put out stuff that's not from us, we throw you guys a reference. We throw a citation in so that you can double tap us, right? Keep us in line, keep us in check, but also for your higher learning. So you can go out, anybody can go on the internet, find our citation that we cited, and then download that PDF. Just takes the time. But
yeah.
that's the
And if
that's
you
the
don't
hope.
see it, just ask us.
Yeah, and that's the hope. And the thing is, we are not these subject matter experts in all of these fields. I mean, you can't be. That's too much. We don't have the time, right? In one lifetime to be able to, fully cover every single subject. But if we can, like you said, I love that analogy of the roadmap, right? If we can show you, hey, like, this is the big picture, this is what you should be, trying to accomplish, then you can go to those guys like Red Bird Tactical, like European Medics, like Civil Sentinel, Terminal Armament, the TRX Arms dudes, and you can get to these subject matter experts, and you can level up these proficiencies, right? And then you can apply it to everything. So
That's why we're here.
yeah,
But yeah, that's
long and short of it.
that's a long route around where we've come from, what we've been doing, what we've covered. We've had some highs, we've had some lows. We brought on so many guests, and we can't thank them enough for being here, honestly.
So many really great perspectives.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, and that's what we try to illustrate too whenever we bring on a guest, is that any walk of life, any skill set, any proficiency, any history, nothing is wasted, right? So you being able to apply your skill set to different situations and being able to teach, give other people from other walks of life that information, that demonstrates your mastery in that, that skill that you need to have.
Exactly.
Right, that interpersonal communication. But that being said, about some things we've covered, we've in the beginning we hit really hard on soldiering tasks, right? Shoot, move, communicate, guerrilla warfare, land navigation, which we just double tapped again, or we soon will double tap again with our crash course series. Talked a little bit about medical. I'm anxious to get into homesteading. Honestly, I'm really anxious to get into homesteading. You've dived really deep into the gardening after we talked with T-Bomb.
Have 2 gardens now, and we're about to get a 3rd.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been busy doing the whole backyard chicken thing, hoping to get into rabbits here soon. But this is all stuff that anybody can do. And that's the essence of homesteading, right?
Right.
That self-sufficiency. So, we're hoping to, with this following year, I really want to dive into that more into that practical side. Just, we are heads straight toward hard times. That's pretty obvious at this point. So, this is the time to be preparing as you can.
Right. Yeah, I think the vast majority of what we're going to be covering now, just because of how it seems like the world's heading, is most likely going to be more geared towards mitigating these hard times as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
100%.
You may see us shift our mindset away from certain things to push more of other topics, but that's just from our perspective, what we're seeing that you're probably going to need more than other things. We're still going to be bringing you the best of. So we're still going to be pushing out the Ranger Handbook. That is such an awesome thing. I love that you decided to put that project out there, and I love working with you on that.
It's painful.
I'm sure.
Every chapter is painful. But
yeah.
To your point though, with the topics, we'll shift fire as we need to, but I feel like our content has evolved too. As
Oh,
we've
100%.
gone throughout the year, we've really nailed down our style. I feel like, and I feel like we're really on something with these crash courses. So I feel like the style of that is going to be beneficial, where we can give focused, like, actionable information for people. And when we see interest peak on certain things, or when we feel like something needs to be covered more in depth, being able to do our deep dives into certain subjects, I think is going to be really beneficial.
Oh, absolutely, man.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And we're still going to be hitting Fieldcraft pretty hard, just because, I mean, that's still a subject that I want to learn more on, and I know you want to learn more on, and we're still going to be
Well,
looking for more guests to bring on for that stuff, because
yeah. Well, it
everybody
ties
knows
into
something.
yeah, and it ties into everything. And I
Right.
was recently listening to a podcast. I think it was the Art and War podcast. They had a gentleman on, and he brought that's a lot. That's something that so many people will neglect. Is fieldcraft. And at the end of the day, if you're in the field, you're going to be doing fieldcraft.
Yep.
Part of our definition for fieldcraft, anything that you do, when you're living and operating in the field, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you just got off the best, most pristine raid, recorded, but if you can't bed down properly and it starts raining and you die of hypothermia, that's on you.
Oh, yeah.
So, but going back, macro, big picture view over this last year, what are some things that you would like to improve on, just as a company, as a podcast?
So I think the biggest thing I want to do is reach more people. Above
Yeah.
all else, like, not just to like grow the company, but just to be able to reach out to more people who don't know these things and want to know these things. I want to reach as many people as we can
To
and
broaden the
bring them into
community.
the fold. Exactly. I want to
Well, it
be,
makes
and honestly, like, big picture, I want to try to unite the community. There's
oh yeah,
so many people out there who are just dragging everybody down, bashing everybody for every little thing that's out there. Like, just because their opinion differs from yours, we need to, as a community, we need to, like, be better than that. We need to be above the bro vets. We need to be above all these guys who are trying to tear down the community, whether they know that they are or not. Like,
yeah,
that's my big thing.
yeah. That's awesome. Well, it makes me think of a couple things. So when we were talking with Blackbeard and talking about how they'd seen us from months ago,
Hmm.
and they're like, oh man, we gotta get these, we've got to get with these guys, we gotta work with these guys. And to think, as we continue to work with them, we're going to be naturally bringing those communities together, the outdoor recreational type community in with the citizen preparedness, the citizen rifle community.
Commo,
And
our
yeah,
commo nerds out there, love you guys, by the way.
love you guys, all you. And you know what, we don't talk about you enough, but my water purifiers out there, you guys are golden. Keep going. But bringing these communities together, and my big thing is making it the norm, the societal norm, because I truly believe, and I have since before the podcast, from the beginning, you know, there should be no difference between an infantryman and a citizen, skill set wise. There should be
Yeah.
there should be no difference. Like, that line needs to be completely erased.
No, it needs, yeah,
We need to be
completely
able
erased.
to, every single citizen needs to be able to do what an infantryman does at a minimum. At a
Hmm.
minimum, should be able to do what an infantryman does, and that's the only way we're going to get safer. Not even from external threats, but internal threats too. I mean, that's just how we get better as a society. Training up a better class of man, right? Imagine if every single person, knew that skill set. It'd be a completely different world.
Right. It would be
But
freaking insane. This week's episode is brought to you by FieldSeats.com. FieldSeats.com is an e-commerce, federally licensed firearms dealer. They provide virtual reviews on brand new firearms, optics, and gear, where at the end of the review, they give away the item being reviewed to an attendee.
Currently, they've got reviews ranging from the Shadow Systems MR920 for $35, the Springfield M1A for $65, or Chichicon ACOG with RMR for $60. Each review has limited seating, so your chances of winning the giveaway are that much higher.
Check out FieldSeats.com to purchase your reviews and enter to win the item being reviewed, and use code STRONGMEN to get 10% off your order.
Be sure to check out their Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at field_seats for updates on products and other tips and info.
Use code STRONGMEN to receive 10% off your entire purchase at FieldSeats.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Thanks for listening, guys. Now back to the episode. Stay in the fight. Something else that makes me think of, too, is when we were at your wedding.
Yeah.
Was it the reception or the rehearsal dinner? And you pointed a dude out to me from across that dining hall. He's like, hey,
yeah,
that's the guy I told you about. He listened to this podcast.
Yeah.
He told me how much he, like da da da. And it's like actually being able to see someone, like a person, not just a number on a screen, not just a tick on a map, but a person. And like, hey. It's like,
dude, I'm not.
That person listens to the podcast. It was just such a weird feeling for me. It's
bro.
Like, oh my gosh. Like
a quarter. No. Sorry. Probably more than that. I think a third of the bridal party has listened to at some point our podcast, or still does.
But isn't that so cool to think?
It's
and then
awesome.
We're talking about like pulling these communities together, right? But then like you're actually able to put that thought to a face and be like, that person right there with all their history, their job, their family, everything about them is somehow connected to the podcast. And to think that their social group, everything like that community, like that tangible thing, oh man, it's wild to me.
Yeah, exactly. And even when we go out with these people, when my wife and I go out and hang out with these people and they start talking about the podcast, like, oh, we love it. We love this episode. Like, and they start talking to me about it. That still drives me, man. It's like,
oh yeah, dude.
That's why I want to keep doing this. It's just like everybody listens to this. Not everybody, but these people listen to this stuff and they come and like they see me in person and they start talking to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's oddly gratifying. It's not because of the recognition, but it's just like, the information's getting out there. They're taking it in. They're listening. They're truly listening.
Yeah, well, and not to be arrogant or anything, but we were talking about this when we were talking with Blackbeard on our episode. But we're two dudes that are putting out this podcast. Like, we don't hire out anything. Like, all the graphic design, all the editing, all the production, everything from start to finish. We do that. So there's ownership there. We work.
Mm-hmm.
This is work. This is hours and hours of work, and to get recognition through that, of course you feel good for that. Of course.
True.
It makes me feel good too. It's like I busted
great.
my butt on that episode. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Right.
Oh, I guess improve for me. I totally agree with the outreach. Pulling different communities together, but I'll always want to put out better content. Always. Thinking about back to our first episode, our namesake episode.
Yeah.
And then listening to, like our most recently edited, an absolute night and day difference.
It's crazy,
just in
man.
How you and me talk to each other. Just how the conversation flows. Like how we edit, like we've gotten our style of editing down. So if you have edit an episode or I have if you edit an episode or if I edit an episode or we do like halfway like we normally do, no one can tell. Like you can't tell when I stop editing and you start. Our style is there. And so that's really gratifying for me just to have that kind of internal goal met. Like I don't think we ever wrote that down, but it's just like, it's just peak. But that and just constantly getting better, and like little, you know, not little things, but like fundamental things that we want, like a long term, like having, Field Seats, our sponsor, being able to sponsor so that we can use this editing software. So we can use the full G Suite to the best of its capabilities. So we can do all these different things to make the content better. It's just, force multipliers, left and right. And being able to make the content better and not really an improve, because the work is pretty much done in that sector. There's little things that I can do, but like you said, with the outreach, with the distribution, that was one of the biggest gratifying like admin tasks I did when we first started, when we were like building out all the like RSS.com, like our distributor and everything, making it to where our RSS feed goes everywhere, like anywhere that anybody listens to anything, pretty much you can listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So,
oh dude, heck yes.
Just continuing to file down, if we find new avenues to go down, or just like kind of fine tune things in that in that sphere, but also just like continuing to make better content. I mean, we're going to be coming out with our guide here next January.
Yep.
So that's a completely different type of content.
It's coming.
It's coming. But it's a completely different avenue. That's a completely different type of, a new way for us to, put out this content to teach people. So that's going to be really exciting to get into too.
Right.
Another thing for us to, work on perfecting. But
yeah.
What would you say sustain is? Something that we could be doing better at. At least, like retrospect, right? Hindsight being 2020, like looking back over this last year. What do we need to work on?
I say this tongue in cheek, but vetting.
Yeah. People.
Which has actually gotten a lot better.
Well, we're a young company.
Yeah.
So there's bound to be growing pains. But yeah, that's going to be with anything. But I feel like the issues that we've had have been handled fairly well. So just another learning point,
Sustain wise, just honestly just keeping doing what we're doing, We keep doing this. I can't wait for the content that we're going to be pushing out to everybody.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff coming. And I'm just glad we're getting through like the level 1 tasks essentially, so we can get to the bigger, broader, like more, not even broader, but like the bigger, like more nuanced,
bigger picture
stuff. Yes.
More defined, refined content. Yeah. Season 2 is going to be really fun.
So, in your opinion, did we meet our year 1 goals? I know we were kind of shooting from the hip going into year 1. We had so many things on our plate year 1, with personnel, with like just stuff going on behind the scenes.
I would say yes. I feel like we met our year 1 goals because we were shooting from the hip. This, the podcast itself was rushed in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were taking so long to try to like research everything and get everything perfect that it finally got to the point where I'm like, no, like, what are you doing next Thursday? Okay, we're recording. And
we're recording.
We just dove into it, right? And so we, we're at where we are now. And I'm very proud of where we're at, right? I'm so happy to be here. So I can't really say that I regret having done it that way, but having, after a year of doing this, being like a legitimate LLC, having all of our ducks in a row, and, being at where we're at now with our organization and just our production development and everything, it just like, it hurts to think back. It's just like, oh man, we could have had like all this like already,
sooner,
tagged out and just done. But I'll say we did, for the cop-out reason that it exists. Like, we survived the year And that's why I told my wife when our boy turned 1, like he survived. He survived a year. This is great. Like this is like good for us. Good job. High five.
Exactly. Exactly.
But,
that's what I was going to say too. Like
we didn't kill him. Like the podcast survived a year.
Right.
And what was I forget the actual statistic, but something I told you because when we first started, it was hard. It was hard, man. It felt like work trying to develop the episodes, do all the show notes and everything. But it was like 90% of podcasts fail before 3 years, or no, before 3 episodes.
99. I think it's 99% of podcasts fail before
Okay.
the first 99. So I think the statistic you told me was 99% of podcasts don't make it past episode 10. So those 99%. Of that 1%, the 99% do not make it past episode 20.
No, it was the other. So like 90% podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes.
Okay.
And then of that 10%, 90% of those, that 10% don't make it past 20 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I can't give you guys a good reference for that. I don't remember whether it was on, I think I saw it on BuzzFeed, but it was like it was some podcast forum. But basically the idea is, you can get drowned out by all the thousands of podcasts that are out there, especially during COVID, when we, right after COVID, we started this. But, so many people have so much time on their hands. They're like, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast. And then like, oh, hold on a minute. This is actually a lot of work. And then, they just let it die. They don't upload. They don't, the podcast is effectively dead, but they didn't delete it. So it's still there, but there's, lights are off. Nobody's home.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
There are thousands of those types of podcasts, and those will stay until, whatever distributing platform that they, use times out and they delete their content, right? Which could be, who knows how long.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that was our
the statistic. Yeah, the statistic right here is in, the Reddit for podcasting.
Yeah.
Shout out to Where We Go Next, but yeah, 90% of podcasts don't publish more than 3 episodes, and that right there is 1.8 million podcasts that quit.
Wow.
Of the 200,000 left, 90% will quit after 20 episodes. That's another 180,000. So you're looking at 1.98 million podcasts that fail.
That's crazy.
So
that was our big motivator. Like I remember you had a whiteboard that had 21. That had 21 episodes, and you ticked off every week until we hit 21.
Yep. Every single one. We were not giving up. We still aren't. We won't.
No. And, we talk about this behind the scenes all the time. We'll never run out of content. There's no way. Like,
yeah,
our mission is purposely broad enough to where, we'll never stop.
Nope. We're having too much fun. I hope you guys are too.
Oh man, this is a blast. Yeah, I love this stuff. I can't wait till I can quit my day job. I can't wait till this is my job. Then talk about episode production, talk about content. Dude, I'll go from a 9 to 5 to a 24 quick.
Just puking out stuff. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is the best job I've ever had, man. Like, this is great. But
dude, same. I love it. I love this. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people.
Yeah. But that was my big motivator, at least.
Oh, same.
During the early stages. So like once we hit 21, like we'll have survived like the main culling of podcasts.
The top 1% of podcasts in the world.
And to think that now, I said that tongue in cheek, but yeah, like our podcast survived a year. And that was my main goal, was to just, no matter what happened, just keep going and keep getting better every episode. Like make something better every single episode. And, I think something that one of my other, I guess my sustain is that we have stayed humble, that we've stayed grateful, that we have, I guess, stayed in our lane in the fact that, we are a small business. you know, we are two brothers who started a freaking company, and we have not let that go to our heads.
No.
I know that if I get behind on notifications, then I'll miss it. And eventually, it'll just disappear. But I try to message every single person who follows us on social media.
Yeah, man.
I try to start an actual conversation with them
Yeah. Oh, I love talking to people, especially when
because
people message me on IG. It's like I have no problem holding conversation with them at all. I love it. I love talking to people about different things and like how things are going with them, and like, if they ask me what can I improve on, it's like, well, here's what I've done and it works for me. I don't know if it'll work for you, but give it a shot.
yeah, I mean, and starting those real conversations like that opens up people. I've had people who I've talked to like you know every couple of weeks, a month or whatever, but then they'll come out of the blue and it's like, hey, I had this idea. Like, what do you guys think? Or hey, I have this problem. What kind of how can you guys help me with this? Or like, do you guys have any ideas? And it's like, we're making ourselves available, and people are actually counting on us. That's feel good. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, and
Anybody out there who wants to know more about this kind of stuff or talk to us more, join our Discord. Like,
oh yeah,
it's small right now. Jump on there, start asking questions, start looking around. Like, this is all about networking. This is all about learning new information, sharing new information, and just growing community. That's what we're here for.
100%. And we're not, we'll never be above talking to people,
No,
ever.
ever.
You guys can, I'll throw a link in the description for our link tree, but that's got our our RSS feed, that's got our Patreon, that's got our Discord, that's got our IG, our email. Reach out however you guys can. Because we'll never be too big to talk to people. I mean, that's one of the things that I hate going into, like big corporations where you can never seem to find a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Or talk to a real person like man to man, and you actually have that relationship with people.
Yeah.
However small, right? But that's something that I'm really proud that we've been able to do. That and the fact that to my knowledge, we have not missed an episode.
No,
We've had
we
an
haven't.
episode every single week since we
Yeah.
started.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, that's something that I'm really proud of, because that was a goal for sure for me, was that we would be consistent, and our schedule changed about halfway through the year. I think we went from
Yeah.
posting on Thursdays to posting on
Saturdays.
Saturdays, but we've not missed a week.
Nope.
We've been
Not one.
consistent, and we've seen consistent growth, and we've seen that community consistently get bigger. So that's been huge.
So that's where we've been. What are your goals for next year? Where do you want to see us?
Multifaceted, or diving into different, different genres of content, right? So
Okay.
we've been doing pretty good with podcasts with auditory content, but that is very difficult to convey
Oh,
some information.
it's
And
horrible.
we've supplemented with Instagram. We've not used Substack to its fullest capacity, to its fullest extent, which we can.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we're two guys, right? So we can only develop so much, week by week, until this is our actual job, right? But right now we're set to release the Strongman Guide in January, right? So that'll be our first downloadable guide that people can open and read and download and print off and show people. So something tangible. So I guess just breaking into that space for me, because I see a lot of potential there. Because you see people like Red Brew Tactical, and they have that about like once a month, right? Once every couple months they come out with another guide, and it's great information, right? So something like that, where we can be diving into different spheres. I mean, maybe even video content, who knows?
I was going to
But
mention that. Like, yeah, that'd probably be one of mine would be maybe we can jump into video. Maybe.
Yeah. So just I guess broadening that, or what's the word? Not maximizing your portfolio, but your portfolio, but
Diversifying.
yeah, diversifying our content. Yeah, I'd say that's one of that's the big goal for me. Other than that, like you said, just really nailing down season two's content, because we were pretty much made people drink from a garden hose this first year. Like
It's
we
been
were
so
very
rough.
spirited, and just like, this is all the information, and we want to give you guys everything. So season two, I want to take a little more measured approach to these episodes.
A more
We have a good
nuanced.
yeah, we have a good backlog built up now that we're editing in. So being able to have that little bit of breathing room, I think, will give us a great opportunity to, focus up on these different subjects. So like, hey guys, here's our crash course on this subject. Now, next month, we're going to go into our deep dives, 3 or 4 deep dives on this. So
Yeah.
we completely, like, we get the whole spectrum on what we want to give you guys with this, for this subject. What about you?
Man, year two goals. I mean, we're going to end year one right around what, 17,000 downloads ish.
Yeah, just about.
I would love to see that doubled, if not like more than doubled.
I want to see 50. We'll end at
50,000?
16,000, 17,000 downloads for year one. Year two, I want us to be at 50.
Okay.
I think that's a
I see that's a
reasonable
good
goal.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable, because we've gotten the growing pains out of the way. We, kind of established our, like, to the community, like, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. So being able to use that foundation, because we've, built up good rapport, we've stayed within our integrity, and, any issues that we've come to along the way, we've handled in a very professional manner, and, we've proved that we're here for the long haul. So
Right.
I feel like that means a lot in the community. So being able to, work with people and, like you said, just tie everything together, I think it's a very, very reasonable goal.
Agreed. I'm right there with you. One other goal I would love to have is just expanding the number of partnerships that we have. Like, I want to
Yeah.
work with more people throughout the entire community, whether that's from the shooting community, the cops community, the fieldcraft community. I want to work with everybody as often, as much as we can, so that we can get different ideas, different products out there to people.
But I think besides, working with companies for products, I think just the interlacing of those communities,
Exactly.
comms community, fieldcraft, medical, homesteading, on and on and on. The more we work with these guys, the more we interlace, the more that, just passerby see these two companies together, the more that's going to grow. It's a culture war. We know that. It's always been a
Right.
culture war. So the more we fight on that front, and we, unite these communities, the better for everybody. With that being said, guys, it's our birthday. Hard Time
Yay.
Strongman is 1 year old today. It's been a wild ride of a year. Through all of it, through the ups and downs, through all the trials and tribulations, through all of the, joys, through all the wins, all the episodes, everything we've covered. Thank you for being here.
Come
You
get
know,
your cake
You guys
and your ice
are.
cream.
Shut up. You guys are why we do this.
He's right. He's right.
We would be here anyways, but for us, I can't tell you how much it means to know that someone is getting good out of this podcast. That this is, providing something
Right.
to someone. It is so humbling, and is very, very affirming. For me at least, it's another way that we can continue to do what we love.
Yeah, and even if there was like two of you guys, we would still be here doing this. You know, it's Same thing we were doing in the Army. Even if we were only teaching two dudes, two 19-year-olds, like how to not like get themselves killed on post. Like
Yeah.
we'd
Well, that's
still be teaching.
well, exactly. And even if we didn't have this platform, even if we weren't a podcast or company or on IG, you know, we'd still be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, onesies and twosies over the phone, talking to a friend, talking to a relative. Like, this is what we love to do. So to have you guys here and to have your support is, like I said, very humbling, and we really appreciate that. So
Can't say thank you enough.
yeah. So if you're still here, thank you. You guys are the class of man that we're trying to build.
Keep
So
it up.
Keep doing what you're doing. Don't keep it to yourself. Pass it on. Whatever your family, your community, your neighbors, make this community bigger, and make the world better than you found it. If you have strength, if you have knowledge, pass it on. Make yourself available. Now more than ever is so important that we come together and that we are constantly trying to improve. So thank you again for joining us. We are the Hard Time Strong Men, showing up a better class of man. As always, stay in the fight.